Hey everyone, welcome back to another Southern Indiana sawmill barn build video. If you've watched the previous videos, or if you haven't, go back and watch them. In the last video you'll see that I built the back wall of the barn. We still have to brace everything together, but we're going to wait until we get everything else put together before we put in all the bracing. That way we can make sure the barn is nice and tight and square. Now in this video we're going to build the front of the barn, and we're going to put in the side headers, which are going to have dovetails cut in the end of them. So I got some posts to put in. We're going to start in this one, and then we're going to do all of these up here. Now I already have these posts cut, and I've already refined the tenons on the ends of all the posts. If you want to see how I do that, go back and watch Barn Build Part 8, and you can see how all of that process happens. So let's go ahead and get some post drops in here, and then I got to show you these big huge headers that we're going to put in. That's all the remaining posts for this barn, all dropped into their post holes, or their post hole brackets. You'll notice that a couple of these I did just by myself without the assistance of the lift, and that's because those were lighter, like probably only a couple 100 pounds. Whereas these other ones, like one of them, well actually two of them are heart pine, and they are just heavy as can be. I don't even know what I would rate them at, maybe 300 plus pounds. It's hard to say, but those ones would be very difficult to lift up off the ground and get in there, and so obviously if you got the tools, use them. Other ones, not a big deal. So now the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to drop the big fat headers on top of these posts, and I want to show you what those are, but I'm just going to remind everybody so that we know what I'm doing. How does that sound? All right, well this is them right here. I've got this batch here, I've got a batch down here, and these dimensionally are 8 inches by 16 inches by 20 foot long, and they are what we would call old growth Douglas fir. The reasons we know that these are old growth are for a few reasons. One is the age of them. They came out of a factory that was over 100 years old. Two, the fact that you have so many growth rings that are outside of the pith or the center of the log, and you still have such a large section of tree basically off of that. Thirdly is the tightness of the growth rings themselves are all very, very close together, something that you don't see very often anymore. And so this is something, again, that is not common in most modern day builds. You won't see timbers like this, which is one of the reasons this is just going to be such a cool thing when it's all said and done. So the only thing that I have to do with these is put in the mortises. That's basically the sockets where all of the tenons are going to fit in. And I'm going to do that via Movie Magic because, like I said, I have previous videos that show how to do that, and I don't want to bore you with that, but I do want you to see me putting these headers on top. And that's going to be a challenge because, to be honest, the top posts are taller than the height of my lift, and so I'm going to have to get creative with how I'm going to do that. And so that's going to be part of the fun and the challenge, part of the glory of the work, as it were, in doing this particular part of the project. So next time you see me, which is going to be in just a split second, we're going to be dropping these headers on. Well, there it is. What do you guys think of that? So how did I solve the problem of putting these huge header beams on top of here? Well, I happen to have an I-beam just laying around, you know, because everybody's got that. And I had an 8-inch I-beam, and what I ended up doing was taking the strongest clamps that I had in my shop and putting 6 of those clamps and mounted those to the front mast of the lift. And then I was using the tilt function, as you could see, for my height. So basically I took an I-beam and converted it into a jib crane. And I have to say it worked great. I've never had to really crane something like that before. As many of you should know, I have been trained in safety, and I know that occasionally I get the safety Nazis on my video that pick on me for various things, but I do know what I'm doing. Now, I recommend that you do not try to do what I'm doing for the sake of safety, and I kind of feel at least once obligated to say that in this case. The beams themselves are anywhere from 500 to 650 pounds, which to us is a lot, but to the forklift that's like picking up a toothpick. And as you can see, we got them on there. It did take a lot of patience. Obviously what you see edited, as easy as it looked on there, was not as easy as it was in real life. But we did get them all on there. And then you saw how I made the dovetail headers on the sides, and those went in really, really wonderful. I mean, pat myself on the back, but that was a great joinery job on those, and they slid in perfect and they all pegged in perfect. And so I'm very happy with the results so far. So where do we go from here? Well, the bones of the barn are now here, and this finally looks like something that is resembling a barn. And so here's what I still have to do. I have to get all of my posts perfectly leveled out. There's a couple of them that I'm gonna have to run some wedges under and get everything nice and level. Because right now, if you were to go on the top and look across, there would be a couple areas that had a little dips. So we need to sort that out. The other thing I need to do is put some corner bracing in between the posts and the headers. And I have a pretty good idea about how I'm gonna do that. And so that's gonna be part of the next video that you see. And then of course, we've gotta start getting a roof on this barn. And that's gonna mean cutting up some rafters and cutting up some purlins. And this is just gonna have a basic steel roof on it. And so you'll get to see how I'm gonna do that in the coming videos. I really only see, hopefully, a couple more videos of this going on at this point, because I'm starting to lose count, honestly, where I'm at with this whole build. But it is looking wonderful so far. I hope that you think it's looking wonderful. I think it's worth the effort. You know, the hard work on this job really is paying off. And one of the things I really enjoy, quite honestly, is having the kids around. And they get to see how Daddy's working, they get to see Daddy's work ethic, they get to see me do good things, they also get to see me make a lot of mistakes while I'm building this. And so all of that is part of the education of raising family, of raising a barn. And so when everything is done and it's finished, I'm gonna do one of those quick 10 to 15 minute high-speed type videos of assembling the entire barn from start to finish. So be on the lookout for all of those things in the future. Lord willing, we're gonna get there. All right, guys, as always, if you haven't been to my channel, please consider subscribing, hitting the bell, and all of those things that help me get noticed on YouTube, and I would really appreciate that. And follow along. All right, guys, God bless you. Until the next video, see you again.